Hello everybody, it's Gareth here from Paris Technologies again with another Rugby World Cup Predictor. And we've now finished the quarterfinals and we have our semi-final listing. So let me share it with you. All right, so there we have it. New Zealand, England, South Africa, Argentina. We've got 26 predictions starting about 4 months ago, right through to a prediction last week. And this group of four, it shouldn't have been too difficult to predict, right? But there are two themes to this World Cup that have caused it to be quite difficult to get this prediction right. The first theme, if we have a look at the most successful teams in history, and what I've got here is I've just added up all the results from all of the years of the Rugby World Cup. You can see New Zealand is the most successful, qualified 9 times, won 3. South Africa qualified 7 times, won 3. Then Australia qualified 9 times, won 2, and always gets as far as the quarterfinals. And I think that's been the first theme for us forecasters that's really made life difficult, because nobody predicted Australia to be as weak as they were. So that really threw us. The second theme, of course, is if you think about the pool stages, the Northern Hemisphere teams were very, very strong. They really, they won every pool. They topped the group for every group. And so it really looked like a year of Northern Hemisphere dominance. And maybe, I guess we all find it difficult to think that history repeats itself. But we did look at this graphic last week, and we want to look at it again. The Northern Hemisphere has never dominated the semifinals. Never. It's all the best they've ever done is achieve parity. And in 2 years, they didn't achieve that. Here, there was only one team in, and here in 2015, there were no Northern Hemisphere teams in the semifinals. So we tended to overestimate the performance in the group stages, and maybe underestimate how important this knockout rugby is, and the pedigree of the Southern Hemisphere teams, and that created that made it difficult to predict. So let's have a look at how accurate these predictions were. So if I bring up this list and I bring up the list of all the predictions that we've got going back about 4 months, what do we find? If we have a look at it, what we're really interested in here is the big blue curvatures. Those are the ones that got it mostly right. So the very, very first prediction, the Southern Scorcher, fell victim to that Australia weakness. If we roll down, the Rainbow Nation prediction, again, fell victim to that Australian weakness. We've got the All Roads Lead to Rome Fontaine by Greg Friend, again, the Australia weakness. And then the final one was the Southern Fight Back, where we imagined all of the Southern Hemisphere teams winning. And I think that was closest. It was the next closest. Fiji didn't manage to beat England, but other than that, all the Southern Hemisphere teams won. All right. So given that, we now know who's in the semi-final. We have to think New Zealand, Argentina. Let's think about that one first. Who, can we predict that one? Well, potentially it's an easier one to predict. I mean, if we look at the results going back quite a few years, I'm just using Wikipedia here, you can see that they've played 36 times. New Zealand have won 33, and there's been 1 draw. If we think about the last 3 times they played, Argentina won in Christchurch, and then 7 days later, New Zealand won 53-3. And then this year, New Zealand's won 41-12. So what does it kind of indicate to me? Well, it indicates that, as we've seen all along, is that New Zealand's results have been a little bit up and down. It's possible that they won't turn up for the semi-final, and then New Zealand will, then Argentina will win. It's possible. It's not likely. I think it's very unlikely. I think with with New Zealand showing up as they did last weekend, I think there's no chance for Argentina, and I think that this is going to be fairly easy to predict a New Zealand win here. What about here? England, South Africa. England's got a great Rugby World Cup history, great pedigree. And I think one of the things we've kind of learned now after doing this for quite a few months is that looking at the history is actually just as important, maybe more important than looking at any kind of current form. So let's go back and look at some analysis I did quite a long time ago called the Dream Killer analysis. So what's a dream killer? It's a team that has ended another team's dream of a World Cup. Basically, it means they've won a knockout stage. So here are the big dream killers of the history. New Zealand has won 15 knockout games, Australia 12, and you can see England and South Africa both have won 11 knockout games each. Now, adding in the 2023 World Cup, they've both won 12. But if we have a look at the cross games, if we look at South Africa, they have knocked out England 3 times. And if you look at England, has never beaten South Africa in a knockout game in the World Cup. And I think that's going to be a very important statistic, that South Africa likes to beat England in the World Cup in the knockout stages. And I know what everyone's going to think, and I was thinking the same thing. What if I include the pool stages? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, on the fly, just cut a slice for you to show you how quick it is to do some analysis using this tool. Just really quickly, I'm just going to pick this database, and I'm going to pick the results cube, and I'm going to say, let's bring all these years down, and we know it's England against South Africa. And we're going to say, with regards to the stages, I'm interested in the pool stages. And with regards to the results, I'm just going to drop off that. I want everything. I want to know if they won or lost, but I don't need this position. And take that out. So I'll just take these over into the filter. And let's have a look. Pool stages, South Africa versus England. So you can see that they've played twice, and this is England's analysis. So in 2003, England won, and in 2007, England lost. So they've played twice in the pool stages, 1 win, 1 loss. But as soon as I flip that to the knockout stages, you see a totally different picture. For England, it's all losses. All right, so that helps me with my prediction. I therefore say that I think this is South Africa's semi-final. So then what does that leave us with here? That is going to give us a New Zealand, South Africa final. Now, interestingly enough, let's just have a quick look at this top teams in history again. South Africa doesn't have a second place. And what does that mean? It means that every time South Africa's got into the final, they've won. New Zealand does have a second place. They once made a final that they lost against South Africa, the 1995 World Cup, very famous World Cup where Nelson Mandela held up the trophy and then handed it to Francois Pienaar for the South African win. So I am going to predict the same. I'm going to say if South Africa gets to the final against New Zealand, they don't lose in the final. Therefore, it's going to be a South Africa win for their 4th Rugby World Cup. And I'm going to, in honor of the great man, I'm going to call this version the Mandela version. Thank you.